Hello, I'm Brian Roesch here in Quinter, Kansas. I'm a woodshop teacher. I've been a woodshop teacher for 27 years now, and I just really, I love it. This is my shop, and I'm going to tell you about my Fastcap journey. Some things that have happened in my life over, since January of 2010 was the first time I sent an idea to Paul Akers at Fastcap. So let me back up a little bit. How did I find Fastcap? I took my kids in 2008 to Atlanta, to IWF, to an international competition, woodworking competition we were in, and was given some tape measures by a company that was actually a Fastcap tape measure. And so I love the tape measure. There were some neat ideas with the tape measure, with the pencil sharpener, and man, this company, I've got to look into this. So I got on the computer, Googled Fastcap. Sure enough, Paul Akers comes walking out on the screen, boom, blows up. I'm going, wow, this is the type of guy, this is cool. And so I just poked around on his website and came across that you could submit an idea to Paul, and if he liked it, they would manufacture it, produce it, manufacture it, and then put it to market, and then you would get a percentage. Wow, that's a pretty neat idea. Well, I really didn't think anything about it, and then 2010, I still come across Fastcap, and they had given some stuff to our kids for winning the contest, $600 worth of product for each of these students and myself. I'm going, this guy is amazing. So I went back to Fastcap, thanked him, of course, and then started poking around again. I said, I'm going to send this guy an idea I have. Razor scrape. You can go to the idea tab on the internet, on the Fastcap website, and you can actually see the video I sent him. It's just an idea about wrapping a piece of tape around the end of a razor just to save the surface of your wood, you don't mar it, and you can scrape off drips and runs, which I have a lot, obviously, with students putting finish on. I sent it to Paul, and he went, okay, it's a good idea, but people are just going to put a piece of tape around a razor and do it themselves. And I went, oh, okay, well, let's see. I have another idea. In March, so over a year later, March of 2011, I sent him the idea of the plastic depth gauge, and that idea is actually on the idea tab also, because he said no to that one too. But he said, Brian, you've come up with some great ideas. Let's make the idea tab on the website, and I'll give you, more product. And you go there and get $100 if he puts your idea on the website, which is a great idea. Anyway, I just can't believe more people don't take advantage of that right there. That's $100 of product just for sending him an idea that's a good idea that he likes, he's going to put on the tab that other woodworkers can use. So I just don't know why more people don't take advantage of that right alone. But it was pretty neat to tell my kids, hey, look what Paul Akers did. Here's my ideas I sent to him. We're getting some free stuff from it, and life was good. Well, let's see. It was March of 2011 when I sent that video in. Of January of 2013. So not quite 2 years later. I'm sitting on this idea, and I'm thinking, I use it every day. The kids use it, and I'm thinking, this is too good of an idea for Paul not to really like this. And so I was persistent in the fact that I kept redesigning the product, the original product that I had the video made of. And what the product was, originally, if you haven't seen it, mag shims, I had blocks of wood on my table saw using for setup, so-and-so, and they'd always get knocked off on the floor. And then I decided to make them out of plastic, put some magnets on them so they wouldn't go anywhere. And that's the original idea I sent to Paul. He said no. Well, then I redesigned it over that 2-year time. I put it on my CNC here in the shop and put magnets in, embedded it, and gave it a design, a functional design, what we could use the outside corners for. And it was aesthetically more pleasing to the eye than just a square piece of plastic. Well, I made a set, and I sent them to Paul. And I didn't even tell him I was sending them until a couple days later. I said, hey, Paul, there's going to be a package showing up in the mail. I made a set of mag shims. I made a set, well, I always call them, I don't know what we called them at that time, plastic depth gauge before the name came about. And I said, use them, put them on your saw there in the shop, use them, see what if you like them. I'm not asking anything for return, just to let him put them on his saw there in the shop or at home or wherever. Give them away if he didn't like them. But just take a look at them. A week later, I got a phone call, or I think it was a video email or an audio email from Paul saying, Brian, we're going to make these things. And I flipped out. It's like, what? No way. 2 years in the making, and I had to physically get them into Paul's hand, the prototype, for him to see them, use them, to like them, to see really the validity of the product. And so I think that's a good lesson right there in itself, that an idea is good, but it has to be more than that. You have to actually have the prototype, make it, use it, see the problems, and then actually maybe send the product so that Paul can actually physically see it. That's maybe a tip. I don't know. It worked for me, and I think it's very helpful for Paul too, obviously. So anyway, over that period of time, I'm thinking, wow, who is a guy that would not know me from Adam, just know me in a video and want to do business with me? So for those of you out there saying, can Paul be trusted? I'm thinking, absolutely yes. If you can't figure out just from a video and he's wanting to do business with you from the West Coast to the middle of the United States, and he's saying, yeah, let's make this product. I want to make it, and I want to give you some money. I'm thinking, wow, that alone to me is incredible for someone to do that. And so, over that period of time, but I do think Paul, he has to get to know you too. He doesn't know you from Adam. When you send him that first video, he has to know that you're going to be trusted too, and not do something shady or, because it's business. He's trying to make money, and so it is business, and it's serious. It's just not something, where you're going to fly by night, send something in. It's a serious deal. On your part and on Fastcap's part, for them to, see some credibility in you and your product as well. So a little bit on that. So back to the mag shims. What happened was I sent them, and then we talked back and forth. And design the product. And that process, we talked for 2 months, on Voxer and video emails and video chats, and design the product. And this is the prototype. This is the white prototype that came off the first pull. And he sent them to me, and I was just elated just to see my idea come to fruition. That it's like, wow, that's my idea, and that's what I wanted. Well, through that process, I have a funny story, because I do have the audio. I wish I had my phone here. I'd play it for you. I do have the audio proof that I am a genius. And Paul said so. He probably tells everybody that. But through this process, we came up with just making them 1/8 inch thick. I actually said, Paul, we just need to make them 1/8 inch thick. What are we doing? We're trying to make too many molds here. And he says, Brian, you are a genius. So I have proof. Anytime my wife questions, my kids question, I can play them. Brian, you're a genius. And so that is fun. Well, the process goes on, and they actually put the product to market. It wasn't until August of 2013 that the product came to market. And I was able to walk into Woodcraft this summer in Denver and go to the shelf and buy the actual product itself, which was fulfilling. It was really fulfilling to walk in there, see something that I had envisioned, that I had used over the past 20-some years, and it was actually on the shelf for people to buy. And so that was very, very rewarding to do that. Now, since then, it's in Rockler. Paul has 2,700 distributors worldwide. And so right there alone is really hard. All that legwork to get all those distributors. So if you're thinking to yourself, I don't know whether to send my product to Paul or do it myself. Well, for me, it was a no-brainer. I had been through the product design, manufacture, patent thing myself. Spent a ton of money on the front end and haven't got hardly anything in return on the back end. Is my product out there? Yeah, it is, and it's still out there, but it's like, it just takes work. It takes a lot of work to market it. You've got to have distributors, you've got to have contacts, you got to have people in the industry you know. And for me, I just didn't have the time. I'm a full-time teacher. I work throughout the summer too, and I have another part-time job, and it's like, I don't have the time to do it. Well, it was just a no-brainer because Paul and his staff, they're just really smart, and they're going to take that idea and use all their resources and their funds, by the way. It's not your money. They're spending their money to get your product, your idea to the market, which is amazing. And so you had nothing before you started, and you have nothing now. If you're thinking about sending the idea, you have zero. And so, something is better than nothing. And an idea, I say this to my kids all the time. It's fun that we're able to walk through this process together with my students and tell them it can be done. You can come up with an idea too. But an idea is just an idea, I tell them, until you tell somebody. That's all it is. I mean, it's a secret in your head. It's a secret until you tell somebody your idea, and then it actually is an idea. You can keep those secrets in a journal, which I have, forever. And if you don't tell somebody, they're just a secret. So for me, this process was a no-brainer, and I've loved every second of it. Well, on to the second product. This is the first one. It's on the market now. And I was walking around my shop, as I always do, thinking, man, I need to make stuff easier for my kids. Like Paul says, you need to stop the struggle. And I have been having push stick problems. These kids were having my push stick and they'd grab it, they couldn't pick it up, it wasn't repetitive, and I'm thinking, I've got to come up with a better way. They're always getting lost. I made it out of wood. Yeah, doesn't cost anything to make them out of wood, but I made them out of plastic, and the kids could see them. They weren't getting bumped on the floor, and then I put a magnet in them, and I could stick it to the machine, or if it was on the table saw, it wouldn't slide off. And then I said, well, I'm going to make it. I walked by that push stick one day. I said, it has to be to where the kids can grab it. So I put this tab on it and put the magnet in the end. I just got my eye pull out. I said, that is a good idea. I think Paul will really like that. And so I videotaped it with my eye pull and sent it to him. And he said, wow, that is amazing, Brian. And at that point in time, it wasn't like, no, I think it's a good idea. He liked it right away. It was like, yeah, we're going to make it. Can we make it? I said, yeah, let's make it. And so it went through the process again. Obviously, the process wasn't as long this time because the product is fairly simple. They did a marvelous job designing it, and I got out of the way. I had the original idea, the shape. This is actually the shape of the first one. I sent actually my idea to Paul, and of course his engineers are just incredible. So at that point, I got out of the way. I didn't even talk to Paul about this process because I knew it was simple for him, and I didn't want to bother him because he's a busy guy. He has lots of things on his plate. I just can't imagine how he keeps it all straight. It just boggles me. I tell my wife that all the time because I voxer him, and he voxes me right back. And I'm saying, how crazy is that to be connected to a president or CEO of a company? Just little old woodworker Joe, Brian here in western Kansas, is able to have connections to somebody like that is so much fun, and he's so accessible. But his time is really valuable. You have to understand that, guys. His time is valuable. And so I got out of the way on this one and let his engineers and designers come up with the actual design at the bottom with the magnets where it stands up. And Paul then sent me the prototype and said, Brian, here it is. What do you think? And I really liked it. And they just did a marvelous job. Now it's called the 11th Finger. It's on the market now. He's doing a marketing campaign right now which you can call, email Fastcap, get on their email list. They'll send you one. And for me, just to have my product in wood shops across the nation that's going to save fingers is worthwhile. I could not make a single dime on this thing. It wouldn't make me any difference. But to know that somebody's going to grab a push stick and save a digit Yep, I've been woodworking since 4th grade in my grandpa's wood shop, and I still have all of them. And I plan to keep it that way. You know, accidents do happen, and if this would prevent an accident, it's going to be well worth it. So this was very, very rewarding piece of equipment for me that Fastcap did. So that's a little bit about my woodworking, my journey with Fastcap through woodworking. And I haven't met Paul. I haven't met him in person, but it feels like I know him like a best friend. Because now, I mean, we voxer back and forth about stuff, life, you know, problems in education, you know, woodworking problems or woodworking issues or you know, projects. And so it's really, for me, that is rewarding too. You know, can Paul be trusted? Yes, definitely. He can be trusted. Fastcap can be trusted. It's a company, it's a reputable company that's done a marvelous job taking people's ideas, people like me, and getting their idea to the market. So don't be reluctant. If you're sitting on an idea, don't be reluctant to send it to Paul. And if you're, you know, especially because it takes money, people. It takes a lot of money to get get a product to market, have it grow legs, and actually have it market that product and have it grow legs and make money. Am I getting rich? No, I'm not. You know, I'm not getting rich, but I do get a check every month from Fastcap now, and it is so rewarding to go to the mail and see that envelope and know that there's a check in there, regardless of the amount, because I had nothing from these products before I started, zero, and now I have something, and I've created lasting relationships along the way, and so that has been, to me, that's well worth it. Well worth the journey is the relationships, the relationship that I've created with Paul over this time span since 2010 when I sent in my first idea. And I'll tell you just one other thing here, that I have sent more ideas to Paul that he said no on that I've sent to him that he said yes. I send him ideas all the time. I'm always videotaping something because I think, wow, and well, it's already on the market, or somebody's already came up with that idea, or yeah, it's a good idea, but you know, he's going to shoot you straight. Do I keep going back and go, no? I mean, I don't, unless I, you know, like the Maxims, I thought it was a good idea. I mean, it took me 2 years to get up the courage to actually send him the product back after I did it. So, you know, is he going to tell you no? Yep, he's going to tell you no if he thinks it's a good idea. But he's the one putting up the capital. He's the one putting up the money. And so he can say no. So anyway, thanks, Paul, and thanks to Fastcap. And if anybody, I mean, just enjoy the ride if you send in a product, and it'll be well worth your time. Thanks for your time. Have a good day. See ya.